What's up, YouTube fans? It's Vonny. But let me know in the comments or whatever if y'all like comedy videos, top tens, like top 5 questions that y'all ask us and we answer, or cooking videos, or like what's the word for it? What's the word? Controversial videos. Yeah, let us know. The R. Kelly video that we did, that was controversial, stuff like that. But right now, I think I'm better to talk about something controversial, things that's on my mind. I like to vent and stuff, rant. But what's on my mind is breastfeeding, which is something that a lot of people like y'all should know of, because most of our viewers and subscribers come from the people that seen to me is breastfeeding video and her home birth video. So that's most of our audience, and the other audience is women mostly. So Tamia Bolton is one of the best is the best mom that I know, and I'm not just saying this because she's my wife. I am a person who looks at the world the same. Everybody is the same to me. So like a homeless person I would look at them the same way that I look at the president, and no, not just because it's Donald Trump. I would also look at a homeless person the same way that I look at my brother or my mom. Like, it doesn't matter to me. A person is a person, and they shouldn't be treated any differently just because you don't know them or because they have bad luck in life. So, I'm not just saying that because she's my wife. I'm saying that because I honestly do believe that. She's the best mother I know. She continuously stays with her child. She doesn't give the child up. I see plenty of people on Facebook who, had their baby, immediately start drinking afterwards, immediately start partying afterwards. Like, it takes 2 weeks. No, not even 2 weeks. I'm being modest. It takes a while for, your pussy to go back to normal after you have a baby. But the next day, like, they already be out in the club, pussy wide open, still bleeding, big ass pads on, like, twerking and drinking, saying, "Oh, I can't wait to try this. Oh, I just popped out this baby. It's time to down this liquor." You have to breastfeed. That's gonna go to the baby. You can't do that. So I mean, breastfeeding is very important to every living creature. Cows, deers, like, all of that, they all breastfeed, and it's for a reason. When you breastfeed, it's this clear liquid that comes before the milk. And that clear liquid is where the baby's main nutrients is coming from. The milk itself is just to feed the baby. But the clear stuff is all the nutrients that it's giving. So that nutrients consists of, like all of his vitamins, all of his minerals, something else, that is stem cells. Things like that. Stem cells, which, can, like, grow ears on the backs of mice. Like, things that can be used to regrow limbs that'll help the baby's immune system and help, its healing factor. What it can, like, if it gets a cut, it's going to heal faster than, let's say, like, a non-vax child whose, mother and parents don't believe in vaccinations and stuff like that. So, breastfeeding your child is very important. Now, I can only think of 3 reasons why you can't or why you wouldn't breastfeed your child. One of them is, obviously you can't breastfeed, in the breast there are mammary glands which produce the milk. If you were born without them, or if they don't function right, then you, like, physically cannot produce milk. Like, for other people, it just takes a while because they're dormant. You have to, like, eat the right foods, things that cause lactation. But for some people, it's just physically impossible and they can't do it. In which case, they put on formula or get a wet nurse, which is somebody who, is who you pay to breastfeed your baby for you. Which, I mean, I guess that's cool, but I mean, the thing with a wet nurse is, like, her milk doesn't stop. She continues to produce milk, which is why she got the job, meaning that that clear stuff that gives the baby nutrients, it's already gone. So the baby is just essentially being fed. It's not getting the actual nutrition, so you're just better off buying formula at that point. Probably something like Similac that's genetically engineered to be as close to breast milk as it can be. But that's, like, the last option. The second reason would be, let me see, the first was you can't produce. The second would be your breast is actually too small. If your breasts are too small, then the baby doesn't have the cushion that it needs, and it doesn't feel comfortable latching onto it. That's the reason why, even though a baby will be like 1 month or 2 months, if you like give the baby to like its dad, and the baby tries to latch on, it'll feel that the man is flat chested, or that the titty isn't how it should be if your husband has titties, and it won't latch on. It won't even attempt to suck because it knows the difference between a man's feel and its mother's feel. So, yeah, if your titties are too small, then it won't even be able to, get it, because you're pretty much flat chested, and the baby has nose. It has a nose and a bunch of features that are stopping it from being able to get like directly on your chest. And the third reason is pretty much the same as the second, but instead of your breast being too small, your nipples are actually too small. And the problem with that is when you breastfeed, you rub the nipple on the top of the baby's lip, and when it opens its mouth, that's when you press the top of the nipple against the top of the baby's mouth, and that'll shoot the milk in, and then the baby will taste the milk and latch on, and that's how that's done. But if your nipple is too small, like if it's like you have like polka dot nipples and shit, then the baby won't be able to latch on. It'll basically not see the point, and you just won't be able to breastfeed. So those are the three reasons. You either can't produce, your titty is too small, or your nipple is too small. Those are pretty much the only three reasons I can see. I mean, having to work, that isn't a valid excuse in my mind, like at all. I'm sure you can do other things like pump, and like when you pump, it can be frozen too, and then unthawed later on when the baby needs to like eat. Like, I'm pretty sure that you can do that, especially since healthcare, like when you like whatever Medicaid you use to have your baby, Fidelis, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Independent Health, whatever you use to, deliver the baby, they would get you a pump, an electric pump, a handheld pump, whatever's easier for you. So I don't see that as an excuse. Like, that's just laziness. That's just you not trying. That's an invalid excuse. Having to, saying that you just don't see the point, or that it's not important, or that it hurts too bad, that's irrelevant. I mean, is your pain more important than your child's growth? Like, if your child is stunted, or suffering from mental retardation because it didn't get the nutrients and the supplements that it needed to help its brain grow, like, are you gonna sit there and say, oh well, it used to hurt, so that's why? Sorry that I fucked up your life, but I don't want to take that pain. I couldn't. I damn sure couldn't. Like, I'm breastfeeding regardless. And my wife, that's why I say that she's the perfect wife. She breastfeeds, she breastfed every 2 hours exactly. So, there are 24 hours in a day. For 2 hours out of that 24 hours, she'd be breastfeeding on the dot constantly. A reminder on her phone that would ring and let her know when she needs to breastfeed. She would stop everything that she was doing immediately. If she's eating, she stops. If she was standing up, she's sitting down. If she was doing something on her phone, she puts it down. She goes to her spot in the bed, grabs her baby, latches the baby on, and watches TV until the baby has stopped eating. If the baby is asleep, then she wakes the baby up so the baby can eat, and then the baby falls back to sleep. If she sleeps, she wakes up so the baby can eat, and then she goes back to sleep. Because when you're a mother, you just had a baby, you have a chemical imbalance. That's what causes postpartum and everything. But what it also does is it makes you more attentive, because you need to be, because you just have a baby, and it's your like literal biological instinct to protect it. Like, that's why people say that mothers care more than fathers. It's because mothers, when they have a baby, like, it's literally like etched into their DNA to protect it. That's what it does. So yeah, if you have a baby to feed, like, it's the same as having an appointment to go to in the morning. If you got a doctor's appointment at 11, but you know that you don't wake up until 2, just the fact that you know that you have something to do, you'll wake up at 10 so you can get ready. That's just how your body works. If it knows that it has an important task to handle, it'll happen. So if you make sure that you can wake up, so if you set an alarm and try to wake yourself up every 2 hours, it'll work. It'll eventually start happening on its own, and you won't even need the alarm. You'll wake up in the middle of the night for no reason, and then realize, oh, it's because I gotta feed my baby. It happens. Like when you, when you prep yourself and put yourself through that practice, it'll happen. You just gotta want it, and you only gotta do it for the first year. You can breastfeed past the year, sure, but by the time the first year is up, the baby has all the nutrients and everything that it needs. So you don't have to if you don't want to. Like if you really want to stop. So, yeah, everybody should breastfeed. My wife is perfect at it. She gave tutorials on YouTube for people to check out. She goes to this group with newborn, well, not even newborn. She goes to this group with mothers who have had babies and who are expecting babies, and they call her the breastfeeding queen. Why? Because she's had 2 babies and she religiously breastfed them. One, she was able to use her breast and the bottle. The other one, she just strictly used her boob and didn't even pump or use the bottle for anything. It was just strictly titty. So, I mean, it's possible to do both because I watched it with my own eyes. And she was really good at it. They respect her greatly. They're always trying to get her to come out and give tips and everything. And she does, you know. They always give her pumps and everything because she stays pregnant. So, you know, it's a really good experience. It's a bonding time for you and your baby. Your baby feels close. It feels protected. You know, it's getting the love and the warmth that it needs because, you know, it just spent its entire life inside of you just to get yanked out into a world where nobody cares about it except you. So, you know, it needs that warmth because now that it's out of you, it wants to do nothing but be with you. So you need to be with him or her. That's how it works, you know? You don't buy a new car, then just say, fuck it, mom, have it. You drive it. You do everything with it. No, you bought a new car, you want to drive it. Just like you just had a new baby, you want to be with it. There's no reason why you wouldn't want to be with your new car, so why not your new baby, you know? Yo, clean your new car, buy a new air freshener, and get the seats changed, get a coating for your steering wheel, and get a new paint job. Okay, you take care of your car and your house, your nails, your hair, all that stuff, your clothes, your wardrobe, but you won't breastfeed your child for, 20 minutes until, it's done and goes to sleep. Like, babies aren't high maintenance. I have 2 children. I go to school and I work full time, and my wife is a stay-at-home mom, and she is able to do all this. If you don't have that person in your life like me, a husband or a boyfriend, and you're a single parent, then just, bring the baby to a loved one, to a friend, or to daycare, and make sure that you pump and leave the instructions to feed your baby every 2 hours on the dot, and they'll do it. And if they're not doing it, then sue. Simple. But to breastfeed, it really takes no work at all. Your body is ready for it. It spent the entire 9 months getting your boobs as full as possible, making them swell, making them bigger, filling up, engorging themselves with milk. Like, you have to use it. Your body's been prepping for the whole time, so you can use it. So to not use it is just disrespectful. It's disrespectful to your baby, to you, to nature. Like, what the hell was all that work making this milk for? You've been eating all this food and everything. Eating all this food, drinking all this liquid, so the baby can, develop, but also so your body can have enough energy to produce this milk. It's making milk out of thin air. Your body goes through changes when you have a baby. It's for the baby. Don't not use it. That doesn't make any sense. It's like having a part in a box. The part is there for a reason. Don't just throw it away because you can't figure out what to do with it. Babies don't come with manuals, but that's why channels like ours exist, because, we're experienced and we're really good with them. And any questions that you have with them, we can help out. Breastfeeding is essential to a baby's growth, to their health, and to the way that they'll act in life. Not breastfeeding your baby can stunt the growth of it, believe it or not. And just because you're buying like Similac and Pediacare and all of that, that's just supplements. It's not the same thing. It's not the same as it being real. It's not the same at all. Like, it's a reason why it's expensive as hell. It's just like jail. You know, they don't have comfy beds in jail. They're not feeding you 5-star foods. They're not turning up the heater because you're cold. You have to go to bed at a certain time. Like, they're not, they do that for a reason. It's because they don't want you to come back. Yeah, this is a bad place. Don't fuck up again so you don't end up here. The same thing with breastfeeding. We want you to breastfeed. These companies, they want you to breastfeed. That's why they make the shit so expensive. A, because they're trying to make it as close to real breast milk as possible. That shit takes a lot of science because it's hard to make breast milk because the shit doesn't occur naturally. You know, they're trying to make some shit in the lab that occurs in your breast. Out of thin air. Like I said, it happens out of thin air. It's not like you already have milk inside of you and then when you have a baby it just comes out. No, your body has to produce this shit. It's not easy. A science, you can't just make this shit in the lab. That's why it comes in powder and it has that weird smell because it's not perfection. It's close. It's an imitation, but it's not the real thing. It's just as close as they can get to it. And that's why this shit is expensive because it takes so much time and effort to make the shit just as close, as perfect as it can be. That's reason A. And reason B is because you should be breastfeeding, so they're punishing you. I mean, yeah, this shit is expensive because, I mean, why? Well, if you was breastfeeding, it wouldn't be. You wouldn't have to pay for it. You know, we're going to charge you as much as we can because we can. When you start breastfeeding, then you won't need to buy it at all. But because you aren't breastfeeding, now you're going to have to pay the price and pay this $23 per container just so it can run out in a week because your baby has to eat every 2 hours. So for those of you who aren't breastfeeding, I hope you're at least still feeding your baby every 2 hours, every 2 to 3 hours. And for the ones that are breastfeeding, good job, keep it up. I know it must be hard for you to adjust, but it's the necessary sacrifice that you have to make for your child. I mean, your child's going to live to be 60, 70, 80 years old, and you only have to do this for 1 year. One stinking ass year. You can do it. Don't give up. If you need a support group, reach out. We know many. We have somebody who helps. If you need a ride, she'll pick you up and take you. You know, there are people out here who are on the same boat as you, and they want to do right by their child just as much as you do. So just remember, like, we aren't famous. We aren't imaginary. We're real people. You can see us at Walmart with everybody else. You know, we're real. We have real life connections and do real things. And if you need help, we have a real Facebook, a real Instagram, a real Twitter that you can go to and contact us on anything, whether it's babies or, you know, controversial topics on how to cook, you know, what a baby needs when they get older. Like, what do you need to feed a baby? What foods do you start out with? Like, if these are questions that you feel like you can't go to a loved one about, or that you feel like you don't want to go to a doctor to, then ask us. We have 2 healthy boys. My one child is 90%, is taller than 90% of babies his age. He's also bigger, more advanced, intellectually. And his brother, well, if you have one that's intellectually superior than other children, and he has a little brother who's learning after him, then he's going to be even more intellectual because he's picking up on the stuff that he's doing. So the stuff that it took my son a little longer to learn because he had to learn it on his own, my youngest is learning even faster because he's being taught it. So now children who are learning, who are trying to learn that at their own pace, he already has a teacher and he's learning it twice as fast as they would. So, you know, I take pride in that. And I know my wife takes pride in that too because she's the reason why they're able to learn so fast because that breast milk helped them out neurologically. So, like I said, I'm a science guy, if you couldn't tell, and my wife is all about the babies. So you mix that together, and you have some pretty good kids, some pretty well-off children, and I'm happy that they're that way. So yeah, video's kind of long. I talk a lot. I know, all the time I talk. To me, it makes people mad, but I go off on rants, you know. I only talk so much because I want people to, like, I really want to get it through people's head how important things are or how I feel about things. It's like with the R. Kelly thing, I went off really long because I want people to understand that that's not okay. These are children. He's ruining children's lives. You don't recover from shit like that. So, yeah, that's not okay. Stop pumping his head because he likes music. While you're pumping his music, he's pumping your daughter's. So, stop it. The man is on stage singing to a bunch of women his age, but looks past them so he can go to their 14-year-old daughters when you have 40-year-old women grabbing at your dick, literally trying to fuck. So, yep, I go after things like that. I talk really long about things like that because it's important that people understand the importance of, things like this in the world. With the R. Kelly thing, okay, that's controversial. You can have your opinion, but it's generally accepted that it's morally wrong to touch children, let alone have sex with children. That's why it's called statutory rape. You can argue that, but you can't argue breastfeeding because it's science, and you can't argue science. So, I talk about, whenever I talk about something, I get information about it. I never go in anything blind. That's why I talk so much, and I talk with so much confidence, because I'm not just some random dude who just, I'm, motivated by something, so I just start speaking out on it. No, I make sure I hit the books, I make sure I hit Google, and I learn as much as I can about a topic before I start going on it. That way, whatever I tell you isn't nonsense, and anybody that tries to argue with me, well, they're automatically wrong, because I know what there is to know, You can't tell me that I'm wrong if I did my research and I know that I'm right. And I did the research right before the video, so it's not like, oh, I could have forgot something. No, it's still fresh right here. So I always do my research right before a video. I always let it sink in. I always know what I'm talking about. I make sure that my facts are facts and nothing is just what I want it to be. So, you can't argue with science. Science is science for a reason. Had to go through trial and error. It had to make sense every time. And that's what happens when you breastfeed babies. They come out, well, better than other babies every time. That's just how it works. It's like a cheat code. If I give my baby this special formula, oh, he starts off at level 100 while your baby is on level 1. It's just a fact of science. It's just the fact of the world. Breastfeed your baby. It's free. It's free. It's free, it's easy, and it's better for you and the baby. It's bonding time. The baby appreciates it. It feels the warmth. It hears your heartbeat. It feels at home. It feels secure. Please breastfeed your children. This is Vonny from me and Vonny channel, and I'm signing out. We love you guys. I'm home now, so I'm cutting the video off. Goodbye.